Zaherio. ¿Qué es eso? Mira.
Pastora?
Sí, pastora.
Allow me to introduce you to the most unusual trans-neoclaridane diterpene found in nature. Its origins are obscure, its natural distribution controversial. I've been fascinated by psychoactive drugs my whole life. I love to study their chemistry and impact on society. And my work has allowed me to investigate extraordinary substances around the world. Yet there are still mysteries that remain. For years, I've hoped to see this ovate leaf in its natural habitat. It's new to our culture, but familiar to the shamans who've cultivated the plant for generations. This is the story of Salvia Divinorum. There's a plant that holds a special place in my heart. It's a rare, perennial sage called Salvia Divinorum that's only been found growing in a 200 square mile decagon of mountain wilderness in Oaxaca, Mexico. The plant is consumed ceremonially by the indigenous Mazatec people, who refer to it as Pastora, or the Shepherdess. Glandular trichomes lining the underside of its leaves secrete a resin containing Salvinorin A, the world's most potent, naturally occurring psychedelic. For generations, Mazatec shamans were the only ones with intimate knowledge of salvia's psychoactivity. But in the 1990s, it entered the commercial market as a smokable extract that often frightened users who were unprepared for its extraordinary potency. I first became interested in salvia as a teenager when I extracted and purified Salvinorin A, leading to a lifelong interest in psychedelics and chemistry. I'm even working on a new extraction procedure with my friend, Dr. Monroe. But my investigation into salvia is far from complete. I want to meet those who are most devoted to understanding the plant, and finally, to search for it in its natural habitat. Scientists have been studying Salvia Divinorum since the 1950s. However, the most important discovery didn't come from a university lab, but from the kitchen of an amateur botanist named Daniel Siebert.
I need to send him some cuttings of that, because then I can...
Though Siebert wasn't the first to use salvia or isolate salvinorins, he was the first person to have what is now considered a typical smoked salvia experience.
When you totally lose every connection to your body and the physical world, it's pretty hard to be comfortable with that. And I could see why the Mazatecs used it as a ceremonial medicine, because it does this. It gets you into this internal space where you can kind of see things more clearly. At least it can if you use it with that intention. It was a really obscure plant. I just kind of grew it as an interesting curiosity in my collection. People thought that the plant only worked if you chewed fresh leaves. I thought one thing I haven't tried is making an extract according to a published procedure that I had come across for extracting Salvinorin A. So I did that in my kitchen, and I've experimented with lots of different plant extracts before, and never seen an extract that looked like that. It just had this iridescent sparkliness about it. And then I thought, wait a minute, that's probably crystals in suspension. Sure enough, you could see little crystals floating around in there. And I just thought, wait a minute, maybe I should test a little bit of it. I waited a little while and didn't seem like anything was happening. And then all of a sudden, I was just gone to this reality. I was just in some disembodied state, completely disorientating, and I didn't know where I was. Suddenly, I noticed that it wasn't my house. that it was my grandparents' house the way it was when I was a child. And not only was I in the wrong place, it seemed like I was in the wrong place in history. It was scary. I thought I had died. I didn't know what happened. I was just gone. And then eventually, somehow, I did come back to my house and looked around. I just was like, wow, that was amazing and weird. I'm so glad to be alive. And then it hit me like, this is it. This is the chemical that's responsible for the mind-altering effects of salvin RNA. No question about it.
Siebert's kitchen extraction opened the door to the commercialization of salvia, first as a curiosity for the psychedelic elite, and soon after as a fixture in head shops across the country.
So now people knew that the plant contained a powerful hallucinogen and how to go about getting effects from it.
Entrepreneurs recognized the opportunity to profit from a new drug that was both potent and legal, and supplied salvia to a public with no understanding of the plant or its origins. The effects of smoked salvia extracts are dramatic. Immediate onset, short duration, and a complete loss of connection to consensus reality. And starting in 2005, a video hosting service called YouTube made it possible to share these once private experiences with the entire world. The videos were like nothing I'd ever seen. They were riveting and hilarious. But few users seemed to enjoy the experience, and most tried it only once. However, one person built an empire.
Hello, and welcome to Gardening on Salvia. I'm Eric, your host.
With nothing more than a video camera, a bong, and a bag of 20x salvia extract.
Poo. I couldn't think of any person who loved salvia just because of the weirdness of doing it.
Hello, and welcome to Driving on Salvia. I'm Eric, your host. You're gonna hold it in for about 20 seconds, or until your vision begins to vibrate.
How did you first find out about salvia?
My friends went out and bought some and tried it, came over, and they were like, Eric, this stuff is hilarious. And we watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I was like, this is what it does to people? They're like, yeah, try it. And I was like, all right. And so I smoked it in the living room over there and just kind of faded out. It's like you trapped inside of a kaleidoscope feeling a little bit. You can lose any sense of reality while you're on it. The joke is that you can't get anything done on this shit ever. And it's just like a how-to video, and you just take a hit of salvia beforehand every time.
First, step one is we're gonna smoke our salvia.
Would you say that you were having a spiritual experience during those videos?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely a spiritual experience, but it was like a battle every time I smoked it. I don't like losing control, and that's exactly what salvia is. It just takes over. You're just like uncomfortable, but also very funny, so it's completely worth making videos of.
What began as a simple household gag went viral, and for Eric, there was no turning back.
For some reason, it connects with a shitload of people.
News coverage, such as this segment on ABC's Nightline,
Type in the word salvia.
sensationalized a drug that most users found unpleasant and few had tried more than once.
Out of their minds.
Their scare stories served to incite a moral panic about salvia's perceived dangers.
Salvia. Miley Cyrus allegedly tried it.
Everything changed in 2010, when Miley Cyrus was recorded smoking a salvia extract and mistook Friday Night Lights actor Gray Damon for her at-the-time ex-boyfriend, but future fiancé, Liam Hemsworth. Officials were quick to condemn it and cited videos such as those by Salvia Eric as evidence of the drug's abuse.
Excuse me. I have to go to space now.
As of 2016, salvia has been prohibited in 26 states and controlled in most others.
The easy access that folks have to this drug is very disconcerting.
I was blown away when I saw my comedy drug video with a cat in it getting played in front of a room full of legislators.
A little cat jumps up on the front of the car. They don't know how to handle it. He sees monsters there.
They passed his bill in 2011, despite the fact that it has probably some medical use.
Do you feel any personal responsibility?
I want to say no, because I'd like to think that anyone should be able to make fun of anything. Now I'm not quite so sure, because it seemed to just have gotten it into a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
Although the videos helped contribute to the drug's prohibition, they also provided an unprecedented data set.
Hi, I'm Hamilton.
I'm Jim.
James Lang is a sociologist who wanted to study how salvia is used in a naturalistic environment.
YouTube was an amazing archive of experiences of this drug, and they resolve within the time frame of a typical YouTube video. So you could actually document an entire trip. Things like coordination loss, speaking difficulties, the hand to the face, that kept happening as well. Sort of hysterical laughter. These are all clues to say what parts of the brain is being affected by this drug. It's really common to see folks try to leave the environment. It has something to do with kind of a fight or flight, coordination loss. Some have criticized these sort of videos as tarnishing the entheogenic approach to salvia, where people are using it for some sort of spiritual purpose. These are documents of people's use of drugs, and we can learn from them.
Oh, God.
The American salvia revolution would have never occurred without the work of a small group of Mexican researchers who identified the plant, studied its chemistry, and documented its use by the indigenous Mazatecs of Oaxaca. In 1973, Mexican psychiatrist Jose Luis Diaz participated in a traditional salvia ceremony and published his findings in a seminal report, Ethnopharmacology and Taxonomy of Mexican Psychodyspeptic Plants.
The salvia plant extract, is that used frequently in Mexico?
The extract?
Yeah.
I understand it is, but I have never seen it used.
Shamanic history is something that people in the United States are not entirely familiar with, and you did important early work on that subject.
It was quite an adventure. It was my first field trip, so it was quite important in my academic and personal life. It was the first time that somebody reported shamanic ceremony and participant ceremony with salvia. For the Mazatecs, all of these plants are sacred, are actually incarnations of deities. When we went in 1973, there was no previous information about what Salvia Divinorum did. We were lucky to find a Mazatec Indian. He was quite careful at the beginning. He sent me to a shaman, a lady called Julia Aurelia Palacios. Fortunately, she had a nephew, an apprentice, who was more or less bilingual, so we were able to communicate. It was the first time, actually, that shaman had been in contact with a non-Mazatec person. What she did was to question me carefully about what my intentions were, and finally she understood that I was interested in witnessing a divination ceremony. The ceremonies are very interesting from a psychopharmacologist's point of view, because they are expression of a deep knowledge of the plant and its effects that has been gathered from generation to generation for many years.
No one has ever recorded a video of those ceremonies, and there's very little written about it.
As far as I know, there's no well-done recording of a Salvia ceremony.
"40 years have passed since Diaz did his fieldwork in the Sierra Mazateca, and I hope to learn if the traditions he observed have remained the same."
You recorded the ceremony that you had. What happened to those recordings?
In one of those trips, it disappeared. It was quite a loss.
Wow, so this could be very interesting if we're
Yeah, I
able
know.
to find someone.
I know. The chant is magnificent. When one, as a Western scientist, goes to an Indian community, there are two worlds colliding in a certain sense.
Huautla de Jimenez was first made famous in psychedelic circles, not for salvia, but for psilocybin-containing mushrooms. But that's another story. The road to Huautla from Mexico City is 200 miles, the final 40 of which are bent into 378 hairpin turns lined with crosses marking the location of fatal accidents. Been traveling for 12 hours and still haven't arrived, but I'm very excited to reach this secluded mountain town. It's the place where Salvia Divinorum was introduced to the Western world, and without this small town, the plant would be unknown. We are arriving in Huautla. There's mushrooms painted on every store. As soon as you enter, you know that this is a place that prides itself for its mushroom history. I don't think salvia is even really sold here. When Spanish colonists arrived in Mexico, they persecuted or killed those who refused to abandon their traditional beliefs. Many indigenous groups preserved their spiritual practices within a Christian framework, resulting in a syncretic religion that worships plants, fungi, and Catholic saints simultaneously. After I followed a procession through the street, I met a locally renowned shaman named Julieta, who invited me back to her house and offered to perform a salvia ceremony. But when I asked if I could film the ceremony, she accused me of being a druggie and referred me to another shaman named Inez. Inez offered me a fine cigar and a cigarette chaser, but she told me she never used salvia and suggested I speak with a shaman named Filigonio. Filigonio had used salvia, but only when the mushrooms weren't in season. He invited me to partake in a mushroom ceremony, which I said I'd consider later. Outside Filigonio's house, I met an alcohol enthusiast who knew about UFOs, but not much else. So I headed back to my hotel in defeat. I'm worried that I can't convince people that my intentions in this research are pure. And salvia is a drug that means a lot to me. It was the first psychedelic drug I ever used. It was what got me interested in psychedelic drugs and psychoactive drugs in general. And to be able to see firsthand the way they do it and how they choose the appropriate dose and how they care for the plants and how they prepare the leaves, all that would be amazing. How they sing during the rituals. I would love to see all of those things. On my second day in Huautla, I contacted a trilingual local named Luis. He spoke English, Spanish, and Mazatec.
Hey, ¿qué tal?
He offered to take me to an area where he heard wild salvia could be found. On the way, he told me of the nearby caves, which are some of the deepest in the Western Hemisphere and feature prominently in the superstitions of the Mazatec.
Estamos aquí, estamos aquí. Es por acá.
Is that whistling a big part of the Mazatec language?
Yeah, whistling, yeah. It's because we have this tonal language and we can have a conversation by whistling.
Tonal language.
Tonal language, yeah, like Chinese.
Luis mentioned the local legend of a goatman apparition called El Chato, who's known to stalk the caves and offer passers-by enormous sums of money in exchange for their penises.
Bienvenido a la caverna.
Should we go in?
I don't know.
Is it dangerous?
Yeah, mucha gente se ha perdido aquí en estas cuevas.
Wait, it's like an altar? What is it? There's a mysterious plank laid across these two stones. What it means and why it's here, I can't say. I've heard conflicting reports about whether or not these caves have any role in the traditional healing ceremonies, but they're certainly amazing to look at.
¿Todo bien?
It's amazing inside.
Sí. He told me that we need to go.
While I was exploring the cave, Luis had spoken to the son of a shaman who agreed to meet us up the road. Nacho was his name, and he seemed to know exactly where he was going.
¿Y tú para qué venís hasta acá a probar la salvia? Si allá también puedes conseguir.
I want to see how people are able to get the full benefits of the plant, how people are able to use the plant responsibly.
La salvia no es cualquier cosa tomar por tomar. No son drogas para nosotros. Es una planta medicinal. ¿Lo vamos a meter por acá?
Is the salvia that we're looking for growing in the wild, or is someone cultivating it?
Mira, la salvia aquí nace solito. Aquí es la planta de salvia. Todo esto, lo que ves acá, son salvia. Tú puedes cortar las hojas nada más y dejamos el tallo para que crezca más. Tú lo vas a cortar porque tú lo vas a consumir.
Okay. It has a very distinctive square stem. The plant can then fall over and sprout new roots. How many leaves would you recommend I take?
Mira, 30 hojas y que sean frescos.
See. The leaves are traditionally collected in pairs, so I'm trying to do the same thing.
Toma, lo conservas ahí.
See. 28, 29. One more leaf. I've selected 30 Salvia Divinorum leaves from different plants. They vary in size and color and freshness. It's an amazing opportunity to try this plant.
With 30 leaves as my ticket, I was taken to meet Nacho's mother, the Salvia shaman.
usted le das a la jefa.
Hola.
Sí. Está bueno. Ga shifa chota ni shifa Mexico na hua ni na sihena ungu kine to ja to tiki chota jimele ndishka jopa kijo isa toa ijo sashkon hebe
Y to quasi chine escuela. Cuando hauko yala, to richena niki ya shibakale la.
gata be chota chinganga sa inja to tsenia kuini shi che chota chinganga sa gatsi ke yaile ni tanga machine hunga sa anga kwatse.
Where I live in the United States, salvia is considered a problem because many people make videos of themselves using the plant that make the plant look ridiculous.
Nyushko ninga kwase si kwa nindishka jukwa nga to he kwa ninga nda si onganda gaji pastora mi heshka jukwa be kuitsa ki te ni nananga sa ikinja hini tierra gatsa ki te.
Y más tarde nos vamos al río, donde tú puedas viajar tranquilo.
That sounds good. Es bueno.
Di mandishke nika. Nyo kwa respeto vicha ale he jukwa be.
The Mazatecs administer salvia in two ways, as a strained juice and rolled leaves, which are chewed and swallowed.
Hina kini soji siuyeni ki chena. Nga yihe rotin. Nga yihe ni rotishkabe. Nga isi. Nga kwa inga siuyale. Nga kwa nandale. Katabilan hai. Yata madre, in nomine del Padre, del Hijo, Espíritu Santo. Wasi kata sukule kandales kanjalas kaskiles kayoles kachindere. Kata maisena nanya kinda yando kata maisena na Espíritu. He, pastora he. Kata madre. Ya.
I barely feel the salvia effect at all, but the liquid is incredibly bitter. There's quite a bit left.
Ya te salve María, llena de gracia, Señor, has contigo bendita brota tu sol. Bendito Espíritu Santo, Dios Santo, Marte Santo, Dios Santo, fuerte. Dinana pastora, di isere di choyale, din airstina, tishkiri, tishkari, dinana pastora, di sekoihi, katamachuyale. Dai lingayale, ngachale, ndashkili, ndashkali, asiti sekoihi, dinana pastora.
After consuming all 30 leaves, there's no visual distortion, no auditory distortion. I am resistant to the effect, or I'm not experiencing much. Is that a bad thing? Should I be looking for a higher effect or appreciating a low effect?
Kisho kasi kauna ito chota, kisho kasi kauna sa meso kwatina, sa meso heshi tina ndena, sa tisho metina, kisho kasi kauna, nyosho ni shishi kauna, kwasi kauna.
It was a beautiful ceremony, but the drug effect is very mild. Do you want me to carry anything for you? Can you carry your bag?
No. ¿Vamos? No.
Tomorrow I'm going to meet with the shaman again. I'm going to try a higher dose. I may chew the leaves instead of drinking the aqueous extract as I did today.
It took researchers decades to understand Salvia Divinorum's activity, and my experience drinking its juice explains why. Salvinorin A is unlike any other naturally occurring psychedelic. It's an unusually large molecule that lacks a basic nitrogen. It's insoluble in water and rapidly hydrolyzed by enzymes in the intestine. As a result, the leaves lose all activity when swallowed and must be absorbed through prolonged contact with mucous membranes. When I returned to Francisca's house, she told me my clothing had scared away the spirit of the plant, and it would be necessary for me to wear the traditional clothes of a Huateco man.
We're about to go out and hunt for Salvia Divinorum in the moonlight. And they told me that I had to keep my hand inside the shell. Okay, there's so much here. Wow. There's probably 50 or 60, the biggest salvia plants I've ever seen.
Está bonito. Allá, tú empiezas a cortar todos esos. Voilà, dímelo.
30 leaves. Many of them have been extensively eaten by insects.
A ver, está limpia. Tama isene, dale kwandara na chone, isekwe. Come, come, así. Siéntate acá. Ani si nishkili, nishkali, ni sakatamandaya, sakatamandaya na shala, sakatamandaya, janyule. Sana skakatazo, sakatacha, sakatazo, sakatawana, ekatawanata. ¿Cómo se llama?
Hamilton.
Amito, kasinganda na amito. Ho inda ho nangi amito, kasinganda to inda to nangi. Tichiko son, tichiko tai. Chati shkiri, chati chuyali, ni pastora.
I can feel it now.
Sí.
It's a very good, beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful sensation.
Ho inda nangi. Honja honangi dai kwa vela chung kwa la shini hitale shiti nangami.
My visual field was dominated by a singular, intense light source that gradually enveloped me.
The light and this seashell that I was given in these leaves, every sensation is as if it's pulling me back into my chair. And the sound of the music it's turning into waves, lips that are then pouring over me. And everything is very hot. And it's truly amazing.
As the Salvinorin A coursed through my blood, I reached a state of bliss I never knew possible.
Oh, it's coming over me. It's almost indescribable in its sensation. It's such a strange, flowing, full body shape, weight that's pouring over me. Oh my God.
Gasingandan ashtina disappointing. City Chicoson, the Chicotaya, Tali Condale, Tali Combination. Gasinganda to in that Tonangi, Nana Pastora. Oh, you sing Honganda, Honja, Honangi. Oh, Peter, no, Peter. City Chicoson, the Chicotaya, Ashtina, disappointing.
Can we lay down? Is that possible?
Sí. Para mí, ayami, para mí, Celestia. Dice que en Lina Ashtina, você de Chicoson, de Chicotang en Lina Ashtina.
Shaman Francisca initiated a series of rites to summon the spirit of the plant and used different techniques to physically distribute the medicine through my body. It had taken hold of me, and I became vulnerable to every gesture, every incantation offered by the shaman. I reached a transformed state of being when the shaman asked me to dance.
Bueno. Así. Tan bonito hasta pastora.
As I danced with the shaman under the moonlight, I felt the rhythm of the salvia from my machete to my conch.
Pastora. Está bueno. Acá, siéntate. Siéntate ya. Sí. Cuando ya te cogí, tengo combinación.
Wow. That is amazing. It's not over at all. I don't even know how long it's been. I have no idea how long it's been. 2:24. So it has been hours. Ska Pastora.
Sí.
An amazing plant.
Está bonito, pastora.
It's the greatest plant.
From a person interested in consciousness like I am, I just have to respect the degree of sophistication and of subtlety that these people have concerning consciousness states. This is what it's all about. The central thing is consciousness. And these people are sophisticated consciousness experts.
Está bien. Asanja here. Tovela kwehi velaye.
Oh, it's just amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, sorry, I should say gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The songs were very beautiful. Last night I had my first traditional Salvia ceremony in Huautla de Jimenez, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm going to leave Huautla loving it even more than I did before. Last night was one of the best experiences of my life.
Sí, es normal. Y para ti fue bonito, ¿no? Porque se lo tomaste con respeto.
What did your mother think of the ceremony last night?
Mi madre piensa que estuvo un viaje bonito y viajaste fuerte.
Did she not like that I laughed or that I lay on the ground, or is that typical for these ceremonies?
No, fue normal con Salvia. Pues yo te deseo mejor el viaje allá.
Gracias.
I kind of feel like I'm not allowed back there anymore.
Because you've hurt the Salvia gods?
I never really did it with the best of intentions.
You should write a letter.
Here we go. I am rolling. Hey everybody, welcome to Apologizing to the Salvia Gods on Salvia. I'm Eric, your host, and this is Hamilton. And man, I'll tell you, I really got Salvia in a lot of trouble, so I'm here to apologize to the Salvia Gods on Salvia, and it reads, Dear Salvia Gods, I am sorry I got you guys in trouble with my inappropriate videos. Now I'm gonna go bring them this letter. Let's take a hit of our Salvia. Okay, now you want to hold that in until your vision begins to vibrate because it's gonna hit you real quick. So I better get this thing ready to go. Let me just pack that up. Right there. Hey, Hamilton. You think I got a hit?
I think you did.
Oh man, am I just doing the thing? I just fuck.
Perdón, a Dios no perdonas ni perdona mi Señor.
Oh, what a strange sensation. It's not for everyone. If Salvia could talk, it would go, stop smoking me. Leave me alone. Let the shamans do it.
Perdona, perdón, perdón, perdón.